All right. Thank you for downloading the one-page customer story interview script. We're going to get into this very special training that's going to walk through how to use that one-page sheet that gives you the questions that I've spent really 10 years refining down to figure out what are the simple human being conversational open-ended easy questions so we can ask people to give us the biggest results, the biggest leverage, and the most understanding about what they actually need, what problems that they have, so we can pull powerful messaging, so we can determine what features to pursue, so we can validate channel strategy, and we can figure out, is this even really the customer that we thought it was? So if you've done the customer avatar or market niche training, you'll see that we make this very detailed map of the market. And this is our first step out into the real world, where we get a chance to start validating those assumptions that we've made. Because we have this initial idea and it seems clear, and then we put it on paper, we work through it, it becomes more clear. But when it touches oxygen, when it touches the real world, things tend to change, they tend to refine. I hate to use the word pivot, people use it too much, because we're working on a refined and iterative process. So this is a very simple approach to do something that people just make way too complicated, I think they need job security. I just want to show you how to do this very quickly, very easily, and repeatedly. So let me share my screen and we'll dive into this. So boom. So if you downloaded the PDF, here we go. There's a couple pages that help us frame what we're even talking about. What are we trying to achieve? So this is what the purpose of this training is. We want to get absolute clarity on top customer problems to offer premium products without guessing about features, struggling to write effective copy, or wondering if anyone will buy. So I want you to make amazing products, and I want you to solve a top 3 problem, not a top 100 or problem. You can't scale a business, no matter how good you are at Facebook ads, no matter what kind of collaborations that we help develop, if you have a mediocre offer, right? So pouring money into things like ads, all it does is scale mediocrity. So we want to make something amazing, and then we want to funnel our time, energy, and effort into scaling something good, something great. So a little bit about this. If you've done the other trainings, feel free to skip ahead, but a lot of people have questions. Why should I talk about this? Have people used things like this before? I have spoken with hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs. I've developed hundreds of products, and here's just a couple examples of people that I've worked with strategically, I've worked with very closely, and they're across all kinds of industries. So we have David from Argineering did a Kickstarter for a really cool hardware product. It's a motion video product. You really have to check it out. I'm not going to do it justice, but RGKit is amazing. He did pretty well on Kickstarter and continues to just crush it. Fantastic startup from Egypt. Dawn, The Most, I'm an advisor in The Most. I've been working with her for years. We've been hacking the process of building a hardware startup, and she's done very well. So check her out. Very proud of the progress that she's made. We've got Jade, great friend. We've done innumerable projects and programs together. More recently, I helped her and another friend, a partner, work through and get non-dilutive funding, and then go on and get VC funding for a very niche robotics project. So fantastic. So you can see this as like commercial product, beauty product, very niche, B2B, big companies are our customers with Applied Impact. So B2B, VC funded. And Adam, graphic designer by trade, he built aesthetic solar panels, and we've connected him with over $150,000 of non-dilutive funding. But more importantly, he's been able to tap into a massive network to get mentors from people with lots of experience in that clean tech space. And I don't know, just go from win to win to win. So very cool. But each of these companies would not be successful if they couldn't find the right customer and they couldn't ask them the right questions to understand what they're supposed to build. That's the important takeaway. Across every industry, this process works. It's been tested, tried, proven, from people with just ideas to people that are building 8-figure businesses. So who am I? I'm that guy from the EndHype podcast. I'm that guy that puts out all the content about launching and growing physical product companies. Why should I talk about this? Well, I create content and programs to help entrepreneurs do the thing that I like to do, which is launch and grow product businesses. And I want you to do that so you can build an ideal life, the thing that you want, the amount of money that you want to make, the contribution that you want to have, the free time that you want to have, live in the location that you want, all those fancy things, those dreams that people have. Entrepreneurship is the only vehicle that can help you achieve that ideal life. And I want to show you how to do it without massive investment, endless time, or being squished like a bug from all the overwhelm of all those pieces and things that you have to know. Because you don't. I can break it down into very simple pieces and we can go step by step by step, just like we're going to talk about today. So I used to have innumerable ideas. I mean, I still do. This is the problem, is like once you start developing a skill for ideation and brainstorming, you come up with millions of ideas. But even though my background and my family's in manufacturing, I really lacked the process and knowledge to transform those ideas into actual business opportunities. I started working in product development, very simple things. Now I do very complex things after developing and manufacturing hundreds of products for companies of all sizes, entrepreneurs, startups, Fortune 500 companies, government entities. I saw the strategies that worked. I saw the patterns and I built a process. So I started seeing this thing over and over again. Just like today, when we talk about the interview script, you're going to see patterns. And if you have the ability to see those systems and see those patterns, you'll know a clear path, right? So I went out there and I started talking to everybody, and I ended up working with entrepreneurship programs for the state, for the county, for federal government. I started mentoring with startup incubators, started running my own incubators, spoke at universities, did things with them. I saw this kind of sad, dogmatic state of what was accepted, what people just basically said, oh, well, this stuff applies to physical product companies, but they'd never run a physical product company, or they'd launch one thing and they tried to shoehorn the same kind of religiosity about lean startup or design thinking into the way that every single business worked, without really understanding the nuance, the difficulty, the multidisciplinary nature of actually making real things and creating real businesses. So I got really frustrated, and that's why my brand is EndHype, because we want to take what actually works. So my framework is based on what actually works. My clients build amazing products, scalable business, and lasting brands. That's the idea, is that we just take the good parts, we make it simple and human, and just do step after step. We don't make it complicated and frustrating and mysterious, because if there's ambiguity, it's hard to make progress, right? So a little bit of stats about me, you can see that on the screen. I really hate bragging about myself, but you can look me up. I run 2 real businesses, and I've talked about this because I've done it. The thing that most people are interested in is I have actually created my own products and I've sold them into the millions of dollars, and I've done that for over 10 years. I've sold to customers in the high-tech space and customers in the defense space. So all those difficult B2B customers that everybody loves, like in that FANG arena and in that agency arena, those are my everyday customers. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. It's not easy to do, but I actually do it. That's what's important. So Why are we even talking about this? Customer story struggles. Why do we even care about stories? Most people fail to understand what their customer actually needs. So they build something that even if that idea is fantastic, they can't connect it to a need. So they don't get this, we call in the startup world, they'd call product market fit, right? Or problem solution fit. But basically, you build something that no one you have access to needs. Your community doesn't want it. You don't know how to find those customers. So you end up spending a bunch of money on advertisement, or you start pushing it out in the market, and it becomes like a whole thing. So one of the most common ways that people come to me is they say, Callie, I already have a product. I've been selling it for 6 months, or I've been selling it for a year, and I can't get any more growth, or my customer acquisition cost is almost the cost of my product. I have a $30 product and I spend $20 to try to get a customer. How can I lower my customer acquisition costs? I'm going to show you how your customer acquisition cost can actually be positive. You get paid every time you make a customer, but that's collaborative launches. That's a whole nother thing. Right now, it's because you just don't understand who these people are, where they are, what they need, and what they're willing to pay. So people assume value. People let their ego blind them, so they never discover the real opportunities to make amazing products. They lack confidence. The confidence comes from competence. Communication develops skill and understanding, but people hide with logic to mask fear. They say this product is amazing. Other people are selling inferior versions of this product. I don't need to go talk to people. If that's your opinion, you probably are not very good at talking to people. You either need a co-founder, a partner, or you need to get better at it. Someone has to develop the skill to sell, to message, to communicate, to actually stay in contact and build not just transactions, but relationships. It just starts with going out and talking to people. Talk to 10 people. You can't do it if this is your opinion that you don't need to go talk to people. And it's really because you lack confidence. You have fear. Don't let logic trick you that you're not afraid. Everyone is afraid. And then poor progress. People lack a clear process and structured approach to getting interviews. They struggle to find customers and get meaningful information. So people just go around and they just like ask 10 people in the mall, or they go to a store and they ask 100 people, or they, God forbid, they use SurveyMonkey, or they send out like ads and have people fill out polls, or they buy research from, whatever, Gartner, and then they think, okay, this plain data research, which again is a scale tool, not a growth tool, not a validation tool. They think, because I've done that, I've done the fancy version, I don't need to do the block and tackle. I don't need to do the hand-to-hand combat version. Not true, right? You will not get meaningful information, and you will not validate in a way that's actually important to you. So like, they have a poor process. People want a shortcut. They think they're smart. I've done this hundreds of times. So you can trust that this is the easiest way to do this. If there was an easier way, I would be teaching that. But this is the thing, is that customers reveal high value problems while they give us the exact language to create ideal messaging and offers. We also get better at talking to people. We get better at finding people. We validate the channels. So like, hey, I talked to these people. I found them through Instagram DMs. I talked to them through our Facebook group. Hey, I went to an event and then I talked to people. We validate initial channels, which will be our traction channels, or where we're able to initially sell to them. That's later information. But for right now, here's the thing. Can you do this? It's very simple. It's very simple, but a lot of people get tripped up. Do not get overwhelmed by this. When you dive in, you'll realize how basic this is. Step 1, let's make a list. Create a list of 30 people that match your avatar, right? Those are the people that are in your community. Again, if you haven't downloaded and gone through the market niche, the finding the ideal customer training, you should hop in the community and you'll see that. Very powerful technique for defining who our customer is, what pains they have, where they are. But Write down 30 of those people, like actual people. This is the deal. I want you to be able to talk to 10 people in your community, not your mom, not people in the street, not your friends. I want you to contact them. And here's some of the math behind this. So here's some of the work. It's like, if you post publicly in your community, if it's the Facebook group, it's, you know, it's wherever you are engaged, and you don't get people, you don't get 4 or 5, 10 people to reach back out to you and say, yeah, I'll hop on. Either you're not that engaged in the community, that's not the community that you belong to, or the problem isn't really hitting that nerve with people. It's not so high value that they have to talk to you about it. So in our process, I posted publicly, I got 10 interviews without DMing a single person, because that's my little group of people. And that was my gut check. How much outreach do I have to do to get more bookings? And then when I DM the people on that 30-person list, how many of those people want to talk to me? Right? I send super simple messages. Do not make this complicated. Busy people, those people that you really want to be your customers, that you really want to work with, that you really respect, they're so busy. Like, don't write a huge paragraph. I hate that. Just send them a simple DM. Hey, I'm interviewing X people who've tried to X goal for a new project. Can you spare 20, 30 minutes for a call? This should spark some kind of interest for the, you know, hey, I'm interviewing entrepreneurs who've tried to lose weight for a new project. Can you spare 20 or 30 minutes for a call? Hey, I'm talking to knife collectors who have tried to create their own knife company, okay, for a new project. Can you spare 20 or 30 minutes for a call? In my case, it might look like, hey, I'm interviewing influencers who have tried to create a physical product for additional revenue. Can you spare 20 or 30 minutes for a new call? So look, the outreach, very, very simple, but use a scheduling tool like Calendly or Schedule Once or Acuity, one of those things. I use Calendly. It is a lifesaver. So if you get nothing out of this but that, use Calendly. It syncs up to all your calendars. Somebody can just pick a time. You can set those availability times of when you're going to actually want to be able to interview people, and have them scheduled. Make this as easy for everyone as possible. Then they're going to get on the Zoom, you know, or they're going to get on the phone, depending on your people, or you might want to tell them, hey, I'm going to record this. I like recording it so I can go back and I don't have to take notes. I can just listen and I can be intentional. I can be there. So if I record it, I can go back and I don't have to just be buried in writing. Because if I'm writing, I'm not listening. That's just me personally. Maybe you're a great note taker. I never was. So we just go through a few things. The first question is to filter and frame, because people might have reached out to you or they might not be who you think that they are. So we want to frame the conversation as well, so we give more pertinent examples. Because if we ask people about their problems, we could get stuff about their kids, we could get stuff about their pets, we could get stuff about their eating habits, we could get everything in their life, and only a few of those, maybe one of those, or maybe none of those topics are actually helpful. So when we filter and frame, are we talking to the right person? So you are a ex-community member. So you're a machinist knife collector. Hey, so you're a powerlifting entrepreneur. These are just examples. But remember, when we picked our personal interests in the last training, I find that niche markets are generally intersections of multiple interests. We are multifaceted beings, right? We have different aspects of our life that are important to us. And when we look at those overlaps, people with those overlaps that are like us or like people that we know, they have specific challenges and they're never really met by the market, right? An entrepreneur who's a power lifter is going to have different thoughts, requirements, problems, struggles than just a power lifter, for sure, for sure. And if we're trying to go niche to start, we might solve an amazing problem at a high value for that powerlifting entrepreneur that just normal powerlifters would enjoy as well. So that's how we have to think about it. Where are we going to strike first? Where do we show up with the most value? But right now for this conversation, we filter and frame with that intersection, and we move on to opening the conversation. We're really trying to listen to a story. So you did this thing. Tell me about that. So you achieved this goal. Hey, so you tried to do this thing. Hey, you lost weight. Tell me about that. Hey, you completed X program. Hey, you made $1 million unicycling. Hey, you attempted but failed to do X. Tell me about that. And here's a little tip. We're using commands, not questions, specifically right here. Generally, people are more compliant, but from a languaging perspective, it's slightly more effective to use a command here than a question. Tell me about that, the thing that we just mentioned. So again, we have made an association. Now we're making an emotional connection, but we're also still filtering down what this conversation is going to be about, because we only have 20 or 30 minutes. We want to make this ultra effective. And I'm going to listen for the language that they use. And this is why I love recording it. I want to listen to the modality. Like, is it visual, kinesthetic? Is it auditory? Those are pretty helpful, especially if you see patterns. But I want to know the severity of the superlatives. Do they say, oh, it was ultra, ultra difficult, right? I want to know the passion. I want to know the detail. Detail is a great corollary for difficulty. If somebody is able to describe in intense detail everything about that situation that occurred 2 years ago, it was important to them. And then in our messaging and in our product, we're able to touch to that emotion, the emotion of that problem or that obstacle. And we're able to bring the past into the present and make a sale. We're able to change people's lives based on real problems, not on like slightly better. We're not trying to be additive or mildly better. We're trying to be disproportionately good to the competitors in the market. So when we open up this story and we listen, we're listening for how good that story is. If you need to coax this along, use words like, tell me more, right? How did that make you feel? And then what happened? Things like that. Open-ended prodding will open up, and people will open up. Generally, people love talking about their problems. They will go crazy, and you might even have to cut people off. Hey, I see that we're halfway through. I'd like to get a little bit more clarity. And then this is where we're moving to step 3, where we're trying to figure out what obstacles inhibited them from achieving their goals. They may have even said it already in the story, but let's get more clarity on this. Tell me about the most difficult part of goal. Hey, so eventually, yeah, you achieved that goal. Tell me about that. Okay. You lost weight. Tell me about that. You completed X program. Tell me about that. You made $1 million unicycling. Tell me about that. What we want to do is we want to dive in again, reiterate that thing, and we want to say, tell me about the challenges in achieving that goal. You made $1 million unicycling. Wow. So you touched to that success, but we want to talk about the challenges, right? Before we just listen to the story, I like, me personally, tell me about the most difficult part of X goal. You completed X program. Yeah, but this was the hardest part. Great. Time management was the hardest part. Just getting all the tasks done every day, that was the hardest part. Staying focused was the hardest part. The reason is we want you to solve top 3 problems, like I was saying. Okay? I don't want you to solve a problem that is mediocre. I want you to solve a problem that happened over and over again. And then we're going to move on to past solutions, because if they haven't mentioned it yet, here's the general thesis here. is that if somebody has not tried to solve that problem in the past with effort or money, so time, effort, energy, something, if they haven't tried to solve that problem, it's not that important to them. Maybe they haven't really thought about it, but if it's a B2B thing and they just get an intern to reset the printer every once in a while, it's probably not worth selling them $1 million SaaS product, right? If somebody is trying time management, but that whole group of people has never purchased a course, coaching, a journal, they've never put any thought into it, they've never bought a timer, they've never really gone in deep, they've never read a book on it, it's going to be an uphill battle. You're going to end up educating the customer over and over again why this is a problem, why it can be overcome, who else has had success. Just in general, it's very difficult. So this goes into our competitive analysis thesis, is that competition makes the market, right? Indirect competition and broad market competition makes it so people understand that solutions exist, that it's a thing. But generally, for our niche audience, nothing really did it. Nothing really addressed their specific needs, or nothing ever really made it, because if so, they wouldn't have listed it as one of their top challenges. But we want to know. This is a great way to find competitors that you can't find through Amazon or a quick Google search, because Amazon doesn't have everything, guys. All right. I know a lot of people's strategies involve sheer competitive analysis or total competitive analysis using Alibaba and Amazon, which is fine, but that's like 5%. It's like 5% of real where your competitors lie, especially when we talk about direct competitors. So did you buy anything to help you overcome these challenges? And what have you bought in the past to try to make this work? What did you buy to help you complete that goal? Did you buy anything? Tell me about the products that you bought that helped facilitate that you achieving that goal. Right? Did you buy any supplements? Did you buy a book? Did you buy a course? Did you get a journal? What did you do? I like it when people have spent money, right? And the number of things that they've spent on and the value of things, you can see what the acceptable value in the market is. If they kept buying things that were $50, $100, they bought a $1,000 course and you're pretty sure that you can solve that problem for $50. Well, now we're getting into irresistible offer territory. But we want to understand, do people actually try to solve this problem, or do they just muscle through it? How much does it cost them to not solve that problem, right? So that's number 4. We're on 4 questions. 5th question, can you speak with them again? Hey, I see a lot of people in our community struggle with the same challenges. This is emotional intelligence. We're being a human being, not a robot, right? This isn't a sales tactic. This is actual empathy. Right now, I am just interviewing to really understand. I'll be creating something to help you get next level results, or people like you achieve what you've achieved. Can I follow up later to talk through some ideas? So, and most people will say yes, but not that many people, or not as many people, will actually follow up, will actually allow you to speak with them again. People are busy, right? So this is what we're doing, is we're going to go on to step 4, analyze. We have this information. I encourage you to make a spreadsheet, listen to those recordings and make a spreadsheet so you can look at these top answers. So filter and frame could just be a yes or no. The story could be a link to the recording. It could be shorthand. The challenges, list the challenges specifically that they mentioned. Past solutions, list the things that they've purchased, even if it's not similar to your product. Maybe especially if it's not similar to your product, right? And find the patterns. What keeps popping up over and over again as a top challenge? So I'll give you an example of this. I just interviewed a lot of entrepreneurs for our current project. Number one or number two challenge for every single person, for them to achieve this level of discipline and focus, for them to grow their business and complete a certain program, time management. It's either number one or number two for every single person. So I could see those patterns. I saw patterns of the right people that I wanted to speak with had generally failed, and then they had succeeded. They had tried some things and they were able to make adjustments. To me, that helps me understand how to message to them a little bit better, is that they have overcome obstacles in the past. They're able to muscle through it. There are ways of facilitating that improvement and achieving goals. So that, to me, that puts them in a good customer position. But really, I just want to find patterns. Is there a commonality between these people? Because again, we want to solve a top challenge, not a not like a top 20. We want to be a top 1, 2, or 3 at the worst out of 3. But I look for language modalities, like I said, the way that they speak about things. And I look at vocabulary, because I'm not a very strong writer for copy. I dislike it. But if I get that copy right from customers, because I can use their story in my copy and I can change it so it really resonates with people. If they hear that story that we have derived from the pattern, right? We've heard a similar story over and over again. When people hit your product page or your business's landing page, they'll say, wow, that sounds exactly like me. Because it is exactly like them. So we understand, we pull the specific vocabulary, the way that they describe things, and we reuse that over and over again. So before we get into where we are in reality here, I want to give you a quick tips. So the first thing, we talked about this, master open-ended questions and commands. I think tell me more about that is fantastic. I want you to remember how to express emotional intelligence. I've experienced that myself. You're not alone. Many of the people I speak with said something similar. Yep, that makes sense. That sounds difficult, right? Agreeing with them and then shutting up and listen. Don't talk. This isn't about how smart you are. This is about validating access. It's about validating their goals, their pains, their obstacles, so you can build an amazing business and an amazing product. This isn't to sell these people on how smart you are in the moment. Because if you do that, you're just shutting it off to potential. And here's another possible avenue. I'll give you this as kind of a pro tip. Do not do this initially. Do not do it. But when you have that follow-up question, many people will be very curious about what you're working on. That's great. That's really great. So I'm going to give you this, and it's not in the one pager. It's only for you for the special training. This is going to happen pretty frequently, and so you can ask them this 6th question is, and you can frame it like this. Well, it's pretty early, and because of intellectual property or because of where it is, I don't want to really disclose specifically what I'm talking about. But if you, in a perfect world, if you had a magic wand, right, and you could just make anything that would solve your problem, what would that be? And so if they have interest, we deflect that into the magic wand question and then have them ideate what products. And we can get into that discussion. Oh, why would that be good? What's that going to do for you? What problems does that actually solve for you? And we can turn it back in. But I want you to start with just these 5 simple things. If people are interested in what you're doing and they want to learn more, that's great. That means that you've connected with the right person and they actually have that problem. It's worth solving. That's fantastic, right? If they really, really are interested, tell them that you can't disclose it right now, but Ask them the magic wand question. Well, you know, in a perfect world, or like if something did exist, like say you had a magic wand or you rubbed a lamp, like what would be a perfect product that would really help you on your way, that would help you overcome those obstacles? So I'll throw that out there for you. Let's look at this. Where are we in real life, right? Because we can use this technique over and over again in our business and in our business growth. You can do it if you're a 9-figure business, you can do it. If you're just starting out and you don't have really even have an idea yet, you can do this, right? But I have these 9 clear steps, and this is what helps my clients unlock scale. We don't use Facebook ads. We don't use complex funnels. We don't use weird gray hat, black hat, questionable internet tactics. What we do are tried and true processes for growth that work across whether you're a direct to consumer or a B2B customer, you're making something complex or making something simple. If you're at $0 or you're at $1 million, these are techniques that will far outlast my lifetime, your lifetime, and probably the lifetime of either of our businesses, unless we get super, super lucky. And we create something that lasts for thousands of years, because I'm not using trends. What I'm doing is I'm using human behavior, psychology, collaborations. I'm using techniques that I'm pulling from 50, 60-year-old manufacturing and management techniques that have worked really well. You have to understand that a lot of the fancy books that people release, all they are little sections from books that were released 60 years ago, that business nerds and manufacturing nerds like myself, we already read those 20 years ago or 30 years ago. So they're just making it all jazzed up. They're hyping it up like it's this new idea when that idea already existed forever ago, right? Deming probably already wrote about it. Somebody else already wrote about it forever ago. So here's where we are. And this is the framework. This is the Red Blue Collective framework. And we're on story right now, but we go through a process of creating goals for that growth, goals for that launch, but also goals for what your ideal life would be, because we want to build a business that is a vehicle to help you achieve an ideal life. We don't want to build a business that you hate for people that you don't like, that sells garbage that you don't believe in, right? We want to make an amazing product. We want to make an amazing business. So we go from that. We have a very specific and different strategy for developing market niches and customer niches. We move on to story. That's where we are right now. So you just got a little short training of what you would see in that process, and we tailor it on your specific what you're launching and who your customer is, if we have that intelligence. So you got this high level overview of how we dive in deep. And then we go through competition, figure out what is out in the market. We brainstorm and figure out how we can dominate the competition. I show you how to build a product portfolio, not just a single product, but how to go from product after product after product using a number of strategies, including white label, private label, collaborative launches, and show you how to build a hero product if you want to do that locally, domestically, internationally. We've done all of that stuff before. Kind of different strategies for each piece, and some things you're able to do within a couple months, and some things take a couple of years. So it really depends on where your business is. We show you how to do a soft launch inside of your community, creates rapid revenue and sold out products. Then we do a leverage launch where we do it really big, and we get PR, we get people to talk about us, we leverage our social proof, and we launch it big. So that's when we can use things like ads if we want, right? Because we have a dialed in message and a product that people love. We can use scale tactics, right? Because these are our 3 principles: brand, product, and scale. So we launch for scale. And I show people how to use collaborative techniques to do joint ventures, co-marketing opportunities to rapidly increase revenue and make very unique offerings in the market. So doing a lot of cool stuff with that. And I don't know if you follow me online, you've seen some of the things that I've done using that technique. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of stress to grow that quickly, but that's what we got to do. We got to stand out from the crowd. And then we go into scale. So how do you decouple your time from your possible outputs? So like what you're capable of, oftentimes, especially after we go through this growth, you're the bottleneck. Your founding team or you as the entrepreneur, you're the bottleneck. So how do we decouple our time from our results? And that's what scale is about. And that's the difference between growth and scale. But that is the 9 steps. So we go through that and we go through it over and over again with people to launch product after product and grow businesses from 0 to 6 figures and 6 figures well into 7 figures. And not to brag on people, but many of my customers have grown businesses that are significantly larger than mine. So it's pretty interesting what people can do based on what their team is, how much funding they get, where they're willing to go. So this process we've tested out for a lot of people. So if that's interesting, now you're probably already a member of the N-Type community. If you're not, shameless plug here, right? You get access to a wealth of information. I add to it every single week. But here's the main offer. Get clarity to take control and build something significant without losing your mind, losing your money, losing your life balance, whatever that means to you. If you're selling over $20K a month and you're ready to actually support growth, you're looking actively for someone to take you to the next level, and you're willing to create a premium product brand, book a call with me, right? You go to redbluecollective.com. I always have a book to call button. We'll hop on a 30-minute session. We'll break through the 9 clear steps. We'll see if it's a good fit. But everybody should be a member of the N-Hype community. I'm building this to be the top community for launching and growing physical products in the world. And I would really like to see you in there. We're going to do something really, really special for the founding team, the first couple hundred people that join, and just beyond releasing a ridiculous amount of content that is for free or for extremely low cost. So that's it. This was the special training on a customer story interview script. If you'd like more information or you'd like to get with me and walk through some detailed context of how to make this work for your business, or you have more questions, as always, just DM me. All right. You can email me, but I can tell you I get a lot of emails. Just DM me on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you are. I'm probably there. I'll get back with you, or somebody on my team will message you on how to schedule a call. So I appreciate you. Go out there and talk to 10 people. All right. If you haven't ever done this before, I don't care where your business is, go out and talk to 10 people. The amount of clarity and power that this will give you is absolutely ludicrous. But that's it from me. Have a wonderful day and go out and build something amazing.